Hey, how big was beating Florida last year in baseball?
It was huge. I mean, I think that any win over a good SEC team is going to be pretty big, right? So I think obviously the rivalry is the rivalry, but just the fact that we were able to win that game and put ourselves in the position to be successful later on in the season regarding bowls and everything like that, and rankings and all that stuff is obviously really big.
I mean, it definitely seemed like a catalyst for things, but just that rivalry was so lopsided in Florida's favor for so long.
Sure.
Was that kind of weighing on the fan base, you think, a little bit?
I think the fan base definitely wanted to see us win games like that, win games like Alabama, continue to win games like Missouri and Kentucky, all those games that mean a lot more. Like they say, it just means more, right? Mm-hmm. Those games mean a lot more than, whether you want to admit it or not, right? We go into every single game, at least we do, right? We go into every single game thinking, hey, look, we're just going to go out there, we're going to dominate, we're going to execute, regardless of the opponent. But I think to the fan base, those games mean a lot. So.
Even Florida mean even maybe a little bit more?
Sure, yeah, just maybe a little more hatred for those guys down there, at least from the fan base.
You guys lost your coordinator, Alex.
Yeah.
What kind of head coach do you think he'll be?
I think he'll be a great head coach because he was obviously my position coach as well, and built a very, very good relationship with Coach Golish, and I still very much appreciate him and talk to him pretty regularly. Ask him how things are going. Obviously, he's going to tell me things are going great and he's doing well, but I have no doubts that he's doing really well and that those players down there are really appreciating him as a coach, but also just as a person and as a leader.
What are his traits, his chops? Why do you think he'll be good?
Just because of his grind, man. He is one of the more hard-working people that I've ever been around, and truly committed to his craft. And his craft is, creating really good offense and loving his players. And he's got 2 really cool kids, and his wife's amazing, and family's amazing. So he just brings a really, really good, positive energy and presence to wherever he's at.
Josh Heupel's offense. How would you characterize it? I mean, what's the thing that makes it so special?
It's fast. It's really fast. We throw the ball really well. We run the ball really well. And we have really good quarterbacks.
How much confidence does it give you just having a guy like that calling the play? I mean, maybe he's not calling the plays all the time, but just overseeing it.
Yeah. I mean, for sure, like the most confidence, just because we've been there, right? Like now, after having 2 seasons of having a really successful offense, we've been there. We understand what it takes to reach that point, to be the #1 offense in the nation, to have the most scoring, to have the most plays per minute or whatever you want to call it. Like we have been there, and we have an understanding of kind of what it takes. So that's where the confidence comes.
And his teaching.
Hey, Joe.
What's he do as a teacher?
Man, I think that's one of the biggest things that I appreciate about him is that he'll walk up, hat backwards, just coming up like, man, what'd you see there? And I'm able to just talk to him, my head coach, I'm able to just talk to him like he's one of my buddies, not one of my buddies, you know what I'm saying, but like one of my teammates about what I saw and about, what I thought and why I made that read. And he always respects my opinion. He always respects all the players. He always is understanding of how it feels to be out there, right, when bullets are flying and things are just kind of going crazy, and never an excuse to not execute your assignment, but he's always very understanding of kind of what it takes and how much pressure is put on us.
Jacob, needing 2 tight ends in this offense, kind of like you and Prince in the last couple of years, how close is McCown and Ethan
to
being not to where you are on the offense?
Sure. Man, really close. I think that especially McCown being an older guy like myself and having a lot of experience. Obviously, like on the West Coast, a little bit different, but not really, right? It's ball, right? It's all ball. He's got a lot of football experience and it approaches the game in a really cool way where he just, he holds himself to such a high standard and truly expects the most out of himself. And, he kind of has rubbed off on me in a way of like, man, like I see McCown going really hard. I see him, not beating himself up, but like kind of, understanding that every rep is super critical, super vital. So his attention to detail has been super cool to see, and it's kind of helped me a lot just throughout the past few months.
I'm sorry. In our microwave society, you got a quarterback now who actually stuck it out, waited his turn.
Sure.
Do you guys admire him, just that much more because of that?
I've talked about it a lot today, man. I truly respect Joe Milton so much for that fact, for the fact that he had every opportunity to leave, every reason to leave, people talking bad about him, and You know, obviously he loses a job, all those different things, whatever. But just the fact that he did stick through it and he learned a lot and he grew a lot through the past 2 years definitely has my respect.
Jacob, Amari was talking about how you guys under Heupel transition from hoping to win to expecting to win.
Yeah.
Can you kind of dive deeper into your kind of experience and takeaway from that perspective?
Yeah, so I think, you know, it carries over into anything, right? And I don't want to get all philosophical, right? But like,
philosophical.
No, sure. Like if I'm just hoping, right? Hopes and wishes are like extremely lofty to me, right? And that's when people ask me about my goals, right? Because I can tell you my goals or whatever, but if I tell you them, not going to mean that they're going to come true, right? I have to actually expect and like understand that I do have what it takes to make it happen. And that mentality is kind of what we're trying to take into every single week. We expect to win every single week because we know how hard we've worked. We know how much we prepared. We know that we have the best coaches in the nation. We know we have the best quarterback in the nation behind us. Like, those are the reasons why we expect to win. It's not just because we're, you know, Tennessee football players and we think we're great. No, it's because we put in work and we have really, really good talent and have really good coaches.
Was there a moment though, whether it was year one or sometime last season, where it really clicked for you guys as a team, as a program, going from hoping to win to expecting to win?
You know, I don't think there's really a moment. I think there's definitely big games, the big wins that we had. You know, early on, you know, first year in Coach Hype's career, winning big SEC games that people didn't necessarily think we would win. And then, you know, obviously last year you beat Florida, you beat LSU, you know, you beat Missouri pretty good, whatever, and you kind of build up this confidence of like, man, like we're hanging with the best of the best, right? The SEC is the best conference in the world, right? So if we can compete in this conference, we can compete anywhere. Why is it different whenever we go to Tuscaloosa, whenever we go to, you know, Athens, whatever? And I think that everyone around the country feels exactly the same way, right? We're grown to be competitors. We're trained to be, no, you're not better than me, right? Like I earned my spot the same way you earned your spot. So why should I bow down to you? Why should I act any different whenever I'm playing you, right? It's just a matter of who goes out there and who's the best on that day. So.
Is it vastly different though than the first couple of years? I mean, is the whole mental approach just that vastly different now compared to when you first got to Tennessee?
I mean, no, man. Like I think that regardless of what it looked like on the field, I think everyone back when I first got here, 2018, 19, 20, everyone wanted to win. Everyone was like, yeah, we're good enough to win. It's just a matter of actually going out there and executing, right? And just becoming that team that truly can say every single week, we expect to win. And if you ask anyone around the nation, they'd be like, oh yeah, sure, they could win the game. Like, you know, if they come to play, they'll win. I think that that's kind of where we're at now, whereas obviously we hadn't proven it in the past to where we could actually sit there and be like, yeah, like we have every right to win this game.
But is that the fine line between wanting and hoping and expecting though?
What, being there before and having done it?
Well, I mean, you're outlining that, yeah, everyone wants to win.
Sure.
But
Right.
isn't there a difference between wanting and hoping and then actually now you guys expect to do it?
Yeah, I think it's mentally there's a difference, right? If I'm fully convinced in my mind, that means I'm expecting to win. If I'm not fully convinced in my mind, that means I hope or I believe, right? Or I think we can.
Jacob, Joe talked about how his way of kind of connecting with a lot of players is personalized handshakes. Do you guys have one?
We do, yeah. You'll see it when I score my first touchdown, probably.
Have you kind of noticed that that's kind of how he connects? And
Yeah, I don't know how he remembers all of them, I'll be honest, because I sometimes forget mine. I only have like 2 or 3 with my guys on the team, and I sometimes forget which one I'm supposed to do with which guy. But yeah, no, it's definitely cool. It's something that he has very special with a lot of guys on the team, and guys that, man, you guys will never know, right? People that you guys don't know their names and don't know who they are, don't know what position they play, and he's right there, you know, shaking their hand and being friends with them, being buddies with them. It means a lot.
Jacob, how different is the personality of this offense with Joe as the quarterback compared to with Hendon as the quarterback? I don't mean execution,
Yeah.
just mean the personality, because he's got a little backyard ball
Sure.
mentality, smiles and
Right. I think that you get a similar, obviously, hopefully a similar result, right? But the person is very different, and they're very similar. Hendon has his own swag, right? Hendon has a demeanor about him that is extremely calm, extremely poised, and just very confident in a way that Joe has a very different demeanor. Joe is very much like, man, he's got energy, he's got swag, he's got that smile you talk about, he's got that just persona that is just, you know, not overbearing, but just fills up a room. and everyone that's around him knows it, right? So I think being a part of that offense, you kind of naturally start to feel that way yourself, right? When I hear him talking, or he's in the huddle and he's like, talking to us, it's like, oh yeah, he wasn't even trying to. He's got me fired up. Like, I'm ready to go play, right? So definitely he brings a different type of edge for sure.
Jacob, you've played in this conference for years now.
Yes.
What to you stands out about SEC football? What can Texas and Oklahoma kind of expect to join it?
Yeah, first of all, obviously it's super excited. I think that's awesome that adding to the conference. I think that no doubt about it will be the best conference in the nation for many years to come. But I think, you have to be ready to play the best teams, the best talent every single week. And obviously there's guys all around the country. Everyone's on scholarship. Everyone, had offers. Everyone was really good at their own school. But man, when you're in this conference, like, it's physical ball, it's fastball, and it's not easy, right? It's not easy to win any given day. So, man, it's just, I don't know. I don't have a message for them, but I think it's just be prepared, right? Because it's a lot different.
You talked about Emmanuel in the other room. He's
Yeah.
from Nigeria. Does he speak English really well, or has it been totally culture shock for him?
No, he does. He speaks pretty good English, and it's funny because he's from Nigeria, but he's spent the last I don't know how many months in England, right? At the NFL Academy. So it's funny because sometimes when you're talking to him, it sounds like he's from Nigeria. Sometimes when you're talking to him, it sounds like he's from England, and you're like, hold on a second, you can't just keep flipping accents on me, man. But no, man, he's been a great addition, and he's super excited to be here. Super excited to learn from all of us, from coaches, and have some really good coaching in his career. I think it'll be great for him. But man, truly, like you said, you're in the other room. You heard me talk about it, but one of the most athletic people that I've ever met in my entire life. The way he moves, the way he jumps, runs, cuts, like all the different plays and catches that he makes are pretty crazy. So, man, once he figures out just the X's and O's and what it actually means to be a football player, then he'll be just fine.
You might have mentioned it earlier, but how do you see your role kind of evolving this year compared to how it was last year?
Yeah, just honestly doing whatever I can. I think that end of the day, obviously, all tight ends want to catch more footballs, right? We want to be third down targets. We want to be red zone targets, and that'll come, right? Like, that'll be a part of the game for sure. But just continuing to develop, myself and put really, really good things on film and be that, that piece and that facilitator for guys like Joe, for guys like our offensive line and for our running backs, be able to allow them to play their best ball because I'm right next to them, if that makes sense.